Hello and welcome to Financial Conversations with Brian. Today we want to talk about why wealth is measured in time and not dollars. So before we get into this video, I got to throw this out. Hit the like button, subscribe, so the YouTube algorithm will kick this out to more people, and maybe we can grow this channel to something more than just a little hobby. So anyway, let's get into this. Basically, time is more valuable than money. And the reason is that time is finite, which, is limited, and money is infinite. I mean, they print new money all the time, which is probably why, everybody is struggling, because the more money they print, the less the money becomes worth, and it just creates a basically an invisible tax that takes your money from you. But time is more valuable than money. At the end of the day, let's say if you're on your deathbed and you've got $2 million in the bank, you cannot buy any more time. It's over. And that's why time is more valuable than money. You can always get more money even if you're broke. So I think that's the point. So, all right. Anyway, let's get into this. And it says that this article here came from experienceyourwealth.com. I'll read a little bit into this. The true measure of wealth is time. Like it or not, we live in a society where wealth and success is measured by the amount of money you have. The big house, the fancy cars, the 7-digit investment account balance. It's what we're all taught to aspire to achieve. This puts an incredible amount of pressure on us and often forces doubt upon our life decisions. If we aren't making more money, then we aren't succeeding. That's the way society makes us feel. But that's just not really the truth. Wealth is measured in time. So let me try to explain what I mean by that. Let's say your expenses are $2,000 a month, and I'm just going to use a real low, simple example, so it'd be easy to explain. Your expenses are $2,000 a month, and let's say you had $24,000 in an emergency fund. Well, you divide that $24,000 by 2,000. You got 12 months of living expenses in that account. So in that example, your wealth is 12 months or 1 year. And this is if you don't have any other income from other sources and your job ceases. You've got that much time before you basically don't have anything left to take care of your living expenses. All right. So this kind of goes back to the other video previously about why spending less is more important than earning more, because if you lower your expenses, you're basically making your savings account or your emergency fund more valuable. And let's use the same example, the 2,000 and the 24,000. Okay, if your expense is 2,000, we covered this. You got 12 months of wealth. But let's say you're somebody that spends a lot of money. Let's say you spend $6,000 a month. That's what you spend. Now all of a sudden that 24,000, you only have 4 months of wealth. Not 12, 4. So a lot less time wealthy if your expenses are very high. Okay. And I know we covered this before in another video, but the difference between your income's here, your expenses here. Let's say if this is 2,000 and your expenses are 1,500, you got $500 in here difference. You take that $500 and you put it to work. You find ways to create the income to get that income up to what your expenses are. Then you're actually infinitely wealthy, or let's say a better word is probably financially independent. It doesn't mean you're rich. It just means you're time rich, which means you don't have to sell your time to cover your living expenses. And this is the most important thing. And I think that should be the level that we all aspire to get to first. And let me explain why. Because once you get there, lower the expenses and get to that first couple $1,000s a month coming in that you don't have to work for, then you can actually become very wealthy. And what I mean by that is you can take your time that you don't have to spend 40 hours a week for an employer. You can take that 40 hours that you're giving them and you can invest it in yourself. And you can spend your time either learning, which is one of the most crucial things, I think, in the beginning, is to just read financial books, learn. If you don't know the jargon of financial institutions, whatever, learn those things. Learn about stock market investing. Learn about dividends. Learn about intellectual property like writing books or network marketing. Spend the time growing your mind so that you can create even more income than what you got, and you will expand your means, if you so desire, to having more income, and then you can grow your comfort level from there. I mean, you can expand and say, okay, well, I don't have to live on this $2,000 a month or $1,500. I can maybe expand it to $3,000, $4,000, and keep on going. I mean, it's up to you what you want to do from there. Let me scroll down here just a little bit further. I don't want this to be too long of a video. Time wealth. What it says, what is time wealth? It's basically spending your time, on the things that you enjoy, the values that you have that are important to you, whether it's the kids' soccer games, going to church. I see a lot of people that they don't go to church, and it's because their job requires them to be there and they have to miss church. Well, if your values or say you enjoy church and you're not allowed you can't go to church because you got to go to your job, well, you've put yourself in a situation where you could make yourself miserable if you'd really rather be at church. And you say to yourself, man, I'd love to be at church right now with my community, with the people I love, and I got to be over here because money says I have to be over here. So this is time wealth. This is why it's important. It's so you can decide how to spend your time. Let's see. Let's jump into this real quick. Time wealth changes your spending habits. All right. So it basically is saying here that you ask yourself questions before you do like a major purchase. Like, does this purchase free up my time? Yes or no? Does this purchase enhance the time I can spend with the people that are most important to me? Does this purchase require a sacrifice of time to fund it? And am I comfortable with that? It's like, if a job says, oh, okay, we'll pay you $100,000 a year, but you got to spend 60-hour week to get it. Are you comfortable with that? Those are questions you have to ask yourself. It's like a new house, if you decide to get a really big house, there's going to be a lot of maintenance, high power bills. Are you comfortable with increasing the expenses that's going to require you to do more to cover it? If you're comfortable with it, go for it. But if not, don't. You need to follow your own personal values and what's important to you. Spend money on things that are important to you, not what's important to somebody else. What's important to somebody else, you may not even care about. It's just like myself. I've never been a car person. I don't love cars. Actually, I get aggravated sometimes with cars because when they break down, you got to take your time to go and replace it. So, replace it, repair it, whatever. It's just, to me, getting from point A to B, if a car is reliable and clean, I don't care if it's a $10,000 car versus a Tesla. I just don't care. It does not matter to me. And everybody's different. You just have to ask yourself those questions. All right. One last little point here before we close it out. Time wealth changes your career decisions. Oh yeah. Here we go. There's been a lot of times in careers in the past, and I've had quite a few jobs in my 50 years. There's been some that paid low, but they were the most enjoyable jobs I've ever had. And then there were some that really paid well that I didn't enjoy it. The only reason I was there was for the money, and that was it. I mean, there was nothing enjoyable. Actually, they had tried to get more control over you and dictate how I'm going to live my life. And in hindsight, just more money could be better, but it could also be worse. You got to really align it with your core values. We already covered this basically. Time wealth changes how much money you need. Not only does it affect your emergency fund, but it also influences your retirement account. If you need less to live on, you don't need to have as much in your retirement account. It's just that simple. A lot of these investment places, they will try to tell you need $1.2 million. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It depends on your spending. Of course, they're going to tell you a lot because their commissions are based on how many stocks and mutual funds and things like that you buy from them on a regular basis. So, yeah, they're always going to tell you way up here. Yep. Well, I think here's a couple key takeaways we can cover real quick. I challenge you to start changing the way you view wealth. It will be difficult, but it's something you will become more comfortable with over time. More money does not equal more happiness. Rather, more time equals more happiness. And that's definitely been my experience. If you create a time wealth filter, it would change your spending habits. You'll spend more on things that increase or enhance your time and less time on things that don't. I think I will end it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting or something to think about. And I will be back probably within a few days with another video. Like I said, please like, subscribe, and help me kick this channel up another notch. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.